This is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog network. And now let's check in and see if CHARLEY-K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up in northern New Hampshire, near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Roger. There's a little bit of QRM on the low side of this, but solid. Absolutely solid. And it's a beautiful day. It's up to 1 degree below zero. We had a low of 12 below with wind blowing and cloudy this morning. Chill factor was close to 30 below zero. Yesterday we picked up 9 inches of new snow, which gives us 105 inches for the season. So propagation was good into Australia this morning. How do you copy, Ken? Which find the better of the reception? KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I'm pretty clear on my 7300 on the 10-foot magnetic loops, and also pretty clear on the local 990 using the dipole. So it seemed to be the SDRs that were catching a lot of the blow-by from a couple of KC lower than our frequency. But that's the name of the game. You pay your money, takes your chances. You know, all things are equal in love and war. Roger, Charlie.
Oh, yeah, Roger, and okay on copying on the 7300 on the magnetic loop. I'm curious, how do you like the quality of the 7300 compared to other receiving rigs you have? I'd be curious what you think of the 7300. I fell in love with this with this 7300 once I got it. This morning, asking about propagation, I did have a short contact with Ian, VK3MO, about 80 kilometers northwest of Melbourne, or 55 miles. And here's just a few seconds of Ian this morning from Australia, here on this 16th of January 2020. Here it is.
This is VK3 Mike Skinny, Melbourne, Australia. Here, going all round. Wish you all a very good day. It's been reasonably quiet here tonight, and signals are strong, so ideal situation. 73 up to you, Charlie North, TK3MO down clear, and hope to catch you all tomorrow. No smoke, but it's not too bad. Quite a bit of smoke earlier today, but it's cleared somewhat over.
Okay, and there he is. Back to you, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I guess when I was checking out my local antennas, the guy 2K below was not transmitting. So I was catching blow-by everywhere. I finally had to go to Atlanta to try to minimize the situation. We wound up and are now on the Atlanta SDR. You're doing quite well down there. Now, Charlie, I want to pick your brain just for a minute. I want you to transpose yourself back in your life to when you were, say, 8 years old. Okay, now you're 8 years old, and your dad he's I am assuming a ham operator, and you are where, and what are you doing when your dad's on the radio, and what are you thinking?
On the radio, what are you thinking?
Well, that's a good... Pardon me. KC9VKV, K1GZL. When I was 8 years old, it was 1940, and I was living, of course, with my mother and dad. In fact, my grandfather and grandmother were living at the same QTH, and my dad had a very large map of the United States up on the wall, and he would get on the air. This is, of course, before World War II, and we used to talk with a dipole over into across the country, and this was generally on 10 meters. 10 was hot. Oh, was 10 meters hot in those days. Oh my gosh. And in fact, we even talked into Nazi Germany occasionally and different parts of Europe. And the band were open. But after that, of course, when you're 8 years old, life is just starting, and 1 year is 1/8 of your entire life. So time, of course, moves a lot slower than it does when you're 87 and a half, which I am at the present time. But I remember those days. My dad would, who was W2, Mike Uncle Peter, too much useless power, and we were in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and every time we would have a QSO with different parts of the United States circle on the U.S. map as to where we were talking, and eventually we filled up most of the map. So those were the days, and I was not a ham, of course, at that time. However, I did get my license in 1948 after flunking the theory in 1947. And back in those days, there were only 2 licenses. You either had a Class B or an A, but you couldn't get the Class A until you've been a Class Baker operator for at least 1 year. You had to be an operator for 1 year to get the Class A. Now, the Class A allowed you to get on 75 phones and 20 phones, whereas the Class B, you could not get on 75 phones or 20-meter phones. Then, of course, all the incentive licensings all started later and later and later. And now we have the present conditions we have at present, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Now, you do realize that you have a very unusual family situation, because usually I think I found that it skips a generation. That is, if your father's a ham operator, then your son will be a ham operator. It skips a generation. My grandfather was a ham operator before there was a license for ham operators, and my dad didn't have anything to do with ham radio. I don't think I knew he knew something about it, but he never said anything about it to me. And it was only my relationship later in life. Well, later, I was 6 years old when I first met my grandfather, and I had no idea what a ham radio operator was, and nor did I know that he had been. All I knew was that he had some very mysterious cardboard boxes full of things that I found very interesting. And every once in a while, he would go searching through those cardboard boxes for something, and I would be right there by his side and looking through that treasure chest of stuff. I had no idea what it was, but it sure looked interesting to me as a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid. And, he always found something that he would give to me out of that treasure chest. And, gosh, I could play with that thing for 3 or 4 months, all the way up till the next time he had to go exploring in that cardboard box. Well, he had probably about 6 or 7 cardboard boxes, and what they were, was the end of his amateur radio career. He had all the things that he had saved along the way that he thought he would use, just like all of us good ham radio operators do. We, just store immense amounts of stuff. And I have started to use Rubber-made garbage cans, those 30-gallon jobbers. And I would just, usually about once a year, I would have enough to put in one of those and set it aside and, go to the next one. And now I have a deck. And underneath the deck, I have 10 of those rubber garbage cans full of stuff that I've been saving, and every once in a while, I'll find a need and I'll go out there and go rummaging through. Those rubber garbage cans are just tremendous because they don't leak. And that's the neat part about it. They're underneath the deck, and the deck obviously is not a roof, so they're in the weather, so to speak, but they don't leak. And you open the tops, and it's just like being there for the first time. Back to you, Charlie.
Yeah, that's memorable. I can't get that word out. That brings back memories. If you can save some of the original parts that you had collected back in the very beginning, it just stimulates what happened. You know, it becomes a part of your life and was a part of your life, and it's a lot to enjoy. A lot to enjoy, and of course, my first outside of a brief farm job the year before was when I was operator over at W1AW, of course ARRL in Newington, Connecticut, and you have that story. That that was something else. That was fascinating, and those days I will never forget, Jim, as long as I live. Absolutely. By the way, you're coming in 25/9 direct, and here you are.
Thank you. Those rubber garbage cans are just tremendous because they don't leak. And that's the neat part about it. You know, they're underneath the deck, and the deck obviously is not a roof, you know, so they're in the weather, so to speak, but...
Okay, back to you, Jim. Look, I don't want to hold it too long. You may have a lot of people trying to get in, and we'll certainly try to catch you next week at this time. We are expecting a fairly good snowstorm starting very late tomorrow afternoon or evening, and starting to taper off by mid-morning on Sunday. That could produce another, probably 6 to 10 inches or so of snow. Then very cold again, and that stops the storms for a while. We should have a pretty good week, but it will be cold. And boy, right now it's bitter out there, but the sun is beating down. It looks like it's about 40 out. However, it's 1 below 0 Fahrenheit. Wow. KC9VKV, it's always a pleasure, Jim. K1GZL, a member of... No, it's going back in time. As long as you have some other things to remember by, it's like yesterday. Go ahead.
Roger, Charlie, certainly is. And, you know, at the end, what do we have but left but memories? And those garbage cans, I'm sure they are sequential, you know, pretty much from, 10 years back. But the thing I found lacking in myself is the ability to properly label what's in those garbage cans because, you know, they're all different kinds of things. I guess I'll have to come along one time and separate everything and put like things in one garbage can and other like things in the other garbage cans, you know, just to keep them so I can find things easier than what it is now. Now I have to try to remember what year I was working on something that I might be able to find some of its remnants to use in another project. Well, Charlie, lots of luck on that incoming weather. I hope it's not too cold for you, Roger.
Well, today was pretty cold. Back in November, we had a day like this. It got up to 2 below 0. Then a tremendous warming trend in the first part of November. November produced 39 inches of snow totally that fell. Nothing in October. And I've never seen that before. Absolutely nothing. Not one flake that I see in October. And normally October you get about 10 or 15 inches. And yet we're up to 105 right now for the season. Okay, real fine, Jim. Your audio is absolutely marvelous. You can't do any better than the saturation point of 100%. And that, of course, you have achieved. So the very, very best, Jim, and we'll certainly catch you on next Friday, hopefully. KC9, Victor, King Victor, near Louisville, Kentucky, but in southern Indiana. K1GZL, we are clear. It's been great.
Charlie, thank you so much for joining in this afternoon. Always a pleasure. You just to help get us going so well. And we'll say threes to you up that way. Have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend coming along. So this is KC9VKV. Just a reminder, this is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog network. My name is Jim, KC9VKV, and I'm better known in some circles as Dr. VKV. And we're recording now live till 5, so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one Qso-Vlog entitled My Group Air Check 1/17/20. Today's date, 1/17/20. My Group Air Check. All right, this is KC9VKV. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.